Phoenix shocking dust, spring embers of Zhao prison. Chapter 1. The wine is cold, and the flowers are falling. The prison room in the 9th room of Zhao prison was lit like beans. Hyun Yi leaned against the corner, his prison clothes were stained with blood, but his eyebrows and eyes still had the coldness and dignity of the old king's couch. Hyun Yi, the man she had supported for 10 years, is now on the throne of the Tianji dynasty, but it was he who personally ordered her to kill her 9 clans and send her to Zhao prison for the 3 major crimes of conspiracy, collusion with the enemy, and murder of the emperor's heir. She saw her uncle being gouged out of her eyes when she bowed her head and pleaded for mercy, and heard her brother roaring her name and falling to a pool of blood. The thunderstorm that night was heartbreaking. Now, Zhao Yu has sent a bottle of poisoned wine so that she will not be too embarrassed before she dies. Your Majesty, have a safe journey. The jailer whispered. Hyun Yi smiled, with blood in his smile. He is not the emperor, but like a butcher. She drank the poisoned wine in one gulp, and the world gradually darkened, tears did not fall, and the hatred was not over. If she could do it again, she would rather never see Hyun Yi in her life. Chapter 2. Looking back at the age of 14. When I opened my eyes again, it was the eve of the Mid-Autumn Festival, when I was 14 years old. In the mirror, her eyebrows and eyes are immature, and she has not applied makeup. There were still fathers and brothers chatting and laughing in the hall. Her mother brought the reunion mooncakes, and the maid Fengzi had not yet combed her wedding bun. Big girl, why did you suddenly stop talking today? Hyun Yi's chest rose and fell violently, and everything was familiar like an illusion. This is rebirth? She looked at the courtyard outside the window where the cicadas had not stopped, and remembered that the Mid-Autumn Festival banquet that year, she met Hyun Yi for the first time, and the young man was as elegant as jade, smiling and handing over a glass of osmanthus brew. She once thought that it was fate. Now that I think about it, it was a disaster. Fengzi, I won't go to the Mid-Autumn Festival banquet tonight. She said in a cold voice. Miss, the lady ordered. Say I'm not feeling well, don't disturb me. At that moment, she had made up her mind, in this life, stay away from Hyun Yi, sever the bad relationship, and exchange herself and her family for a glimmer of life. Chapter 3. Ruthlessness is the way and heartlessness is the sword. The Hyun family is a famous family for generations, holding military talismans and holding great power. It was this power in the previous life that attracted Hyun Yi's jealousy. Once again, Hyun Yi first cut off his weakness against the man in power. She took the initiative to alienate her pro-Soviet uncle in the court, politely rejected the queen's suggestion to be engaged to the prince, and instead befriended Yuchinayu, the daughter of the 3rd-rank female official of the current dynasty. And she deliberately approached the only male protagonist in the previous life who was loyal to her but was negligently used to death by her, Li Chen. Li Chen, the son of the general of the northwest border of the Tianji dynasty, his biological mother was born in a slightly humble background and was ostracized by the royal family, but she was the only foreign aide trusted by the Hyun family during the war. In this life, I will never look at only one person again. Hyun Yi looked at Li Chen in a resolute tone. I will guard everything that should be guarded. Chapter 4. Hyun Yi's black hole of desire. Hyun Yi noticed her change. In this life, Hyun Yi's concern for him was as indifferent as ice, his words were alienated, and he never showed even a trace of goodwill. Hyun Yi. You have changed. He blocked her way in the imperial garden after the banquet, with a familiar smile on his face, but a hint of uneasiness appeared in his eyes. You haven't changed, you're still only good at stepping on other people's sincerity. She turned around and left, without any nostalgia. This move alarmed the Empress Dowager and the Emperor, who originally wanted Hyun Yi to marry Hyun Yi to consolidate the imperial power, but now they had to find another candidate. And Hyun Yi secretly began to lay out a chess game of reversing fate. Chapter 5. The return of the scumbag, Yun Zhuangying. Yun Zhuangying, the first talented woman in Beijing, who competed with her for power and favor in her previous life and framed her for colluding with the enemy, is still enchanting, ruthless and cunning in this life. But Hyun Yi is no longer a stupid girl who will be framed for seeking her own death. When Yun Zhuangying framed her for having a private meeting with Li Chen at the 100 Flowers banquet, she backhanded out the true letter that Yun Zhuangying had accepted treasures from other countries and had secret affair with the envoy of Nanjing. I've already written the self-defense papers for you, but do you want to pour and drink the poison wine from Zhao prison, or will I feed you? Hyun Yi said softly. Yun Zhuangying's face turned pale on the spot, knowing that he was defeated. And so Hyun Yi was gradually swallowed up by his own crack in fate. Chapter 6. The Divine Machine Yuchinayu and the Brand New Palace Fight. Yuchinayu was a victim of a mysterious plague in his previous life, and that plague was known to Hyun Yi at the moment, an experiment by the Imperial Medical Office and the inner servant supervisor in conspiracy to control the loyalty of the palace people. She and Chen Yu teamed up to set up the Spring Ember Bureau, use the fake epidemic to uncover the real poison, use an anti-plague treatment operation to win the trust of the people and the Queen Mother, and send He Xiao, the eunuch in charge of the inner servant supervision, to the heavenly prison in one fell swoop. The Helian family was also named a family of benevolence and righteousness because they provided medicine to the people. This time, she did not sacrifice her family to support the imperial power of one person, but united as one to peel off the rotten heart and bones under the golden shell on the throne. Chapter 7 The mandate of destiny is no longer there, and the phoenix fire is rekindled. Sokyunyi initially believed that Helian Yi would change her mind. But when he ascended the throne, the Helian family did not send a congratulatory letter. Li Chen led the Northwest Army into the capital to open a government office, and Yu Chinayu came to the court to discuss politics with the Queen Mother's edict. He finally understood. The woman who had died for him has now forgotten him in the dust. Don't you want the world? Helian Yi saw him for the last time in the most remote Loxia pavilion in the palace. Now you have it. But I tell you, the world will forget you. Because you never give it a reason to remember you. She turned away, just as he had turned around and abandoned her. Chapter 8 The Jade Ring Ambush and the Night of the Submerged Lantern. Helian Yi has always known that power never only grows on the Emperor's dragon chair. It is hidden in the military talisman, hidden in the Empress Dowager's eyebrows with a touch of solemnity, hidden in a secret letter before being burned. She and Chen Yu set up an ambush in Zayutai for 3 months to secretly investigate the cause of the fall of the Yumen Pass on the border of Tianji that year. In the end, it was found that it was a jade pendant symbolizing loyalty. The jade ring, a token of loyalty held by the Li clan, was inscribed with unparalleled loyalty. However, it was forged and sent to the southern Jing kingdom as a token of surrender, causing the border troops to hesitate and miss an opportunity to fight. That devastating defeat not only resulted in the death of Li Chen's father, but also earned the Li clan the label of hidden traitor, nearly wiping out their entire clan. Helian Yi handed this evidence to Li Chen. This is what I owe you, and it is also the justice your father deserves. Li Chen's eyes flashed with complicated colors, and he whispered, if I am destined to be a person with blood debts in this life, will you stand by my side? I have given everything for the wrong people, and in this life, I just want to leave a way to live for those who deserve it. She stared at him, her tone soft but determined. That night, Li Chen personally entered the upper study and pleaded with the emperor to redress his deceased father's grievances. Sokyunyi sneered, remaining silent, before finally saying, you brought this upon yourself. Don't accuse me of being heartless. The next day, the palace lights were dimmed for the night. No one dared to mention the word Yumen Pass again. Chapter 9 The Chess between the Sparrow Emperor and the Queen Mother. Empress Dowager Zhao, born in a humble family, relied on her exceptional skills and royal bloodline to secure the throne. She always stood by Sokyunyi, fully aware of his stubborn and unruly nature, and had long sought to balance him. Helian Yi, through a secret letter, cleared the Zayu prison, secured the imperial physician's appointment, and secured an audience with Madame Yan, the Empress Dowager's trusted advisor. The Empress Dowager said that if you can overcome the Sparrow Emperor tribulation, she will hand over the Phoenix Seal to you. The Bird Emperor tribulation is a game of life and death. Rumor has it that the Queen Mother's deceased husband, Emperor Zhao, left a broken game during her lifetime, symbolizing the most fatal dark side chess in the dynasty. 3 days later, Helian Yi broke the game in the Palace Chinese Chess Pavilion, captured Han Yuanfeng, the strategist who designed the whole case, on the spot, and exposed him as a foreign agent, secretly supporting Sokyunyi for 10 years, intending to use him to provoke civil strife and divide the Northwest defense line after he ascended the throne. The Queen Mother handed the seal of the Phoenix Proclamation to Helian Yi, with far-reaching meaning, if the world must change blood in the end, you will be the last son I bet on. Chapter 10 The Floating Jade Step and Sokyunyi's Route. Sokyunyi finally realized that the woman he once regarded as a pawn was now a knife holder. He began to liquidate the civil servants, clear streams, and even made servants who had a relationship with her. Overnight, 9 people were taken to the Dali Temple for execution. Helian Yi personally led hundreds of officials to the court to make a memorial, revealing the truth about Zhao Yu and using the evidence of framing Li in his previous life as an iron rule to force Sokyunyi to hand over the military power of the inner court. Do you think you won? Sokyunyi looked at her with crazy eyes. I'm not here to win you, I'm here to bury our misidentified fate. She responded coldly. That night, flames erupted in front of the Fuguang Palace. Li Chen led the Zhaoming army into the capital. Sokyunyi was imprisoned, and the Empress Dowager issued an edict deposing the emperor. The world was silent, but above the palace, a blood-red moon set. Chapter 11 Rebirth of Destiny, Crowning the King. Helian Yi rejected the Queen Mother's intention to let her call herself emperor. She is not power-loving, nor is she ambitious. She personally handed over the seal of the Phoenix Proclamation to Li Chen. You make the decision, I will keep the mountains and rivers safe for you. Li Chen named her a lady of the state, and she served as regent for 3 years, managing the government and residing in Zayutai, away from government affairs. They never engaged in a marriage certificate, but remained together for life. Chen Yu was granted the title of Suan Shiling and established the National Academy of Strategy and Art, recruiting female scholars, magicians, military strategists, and medical professionals. The Yu clan rose from this and launched the 5-year plan of Tianji New School, which the world called the Zhaoxi New Deal. Empress Dowager Xia retired after her success and journeyed to the Western Territory for a quiet retreat. Before departing, she said, "The new dynasty has no need for old souls. You will forge your own destiny." Chapter 12, The Book of Black Sand and the Souls of Zhayu. In the 3rd year of Zhaoxi, the wind and rain in Tianji Kingdom were smooth, but He always found it difficult to let go of an old thing in his heart, Zhao prison. The black prison that devoured her life never gave her a real answer. She secretly went to the ruins of Zhao prison and found that the original site had long been closed. Only one elderly guard is still guarding in front of the broken wall, named Juan. Juan was the warden of the Zhao prison in the previous dynasty, and he was also the last person to witness the burning of the Helian family's roster of the 9 clans. That day, not all rosters were on fire. He shook his hands and took out a blackened book from the crack in the wall, Black Sandman Scroll. The book records the true names, crimes, and facts of every person who was secretly ordered to be executed but was not allowed to go down in history. He turned the page and suddenly found that her mother was originally a survivor of the previous dynasty, and the mastermind who framed the Helian family was Yun Zhuangying and Sokyunyi, who joined forces to transfer flowers and trees with the crime of blood conspiracy. The whole raid was actually a purge to seize power and cover up the results of reagents. This book is the voice of the dead and the proof that you are alive. After Juan finished speaking, he quietly drank the poisoned wine and returned to the dust with the black prison. Chapter 13 Frost Shadow Curtain Call. Yun Zhuangying did not die after the palace changed 3 years ago, but was imprisoned in an unnamed temple, guarded by Chen Yu himself. She no longer has brocade clothes and colors, only white hair and wood carvings all day long. Chen Yu had originally been reluctant to see her again, but after the remnants of the Zhayu files were exposed, he brought her to the historical trial chamber and began a trial in front of all the officials. Yun Zhuangying finally bowed her head, not in repentance, but with a wry smile. "Do you all think I am power? I have never been free, and since I was born, I have been a bargaining chip for the Yun family." He looked at her. "It was you who chose to pour hatred into power and let yourself die. What about you?" Yun Zhuangying asked rhetorically, "If you do it again, do you dare to guarantee that your light is not polished for you by others?" On the night of the trial, Yun Zhuangying self-immolated in the Guangzhen Tower. She no longer had a sorrowful voice in the firelight, only the sound of a broken string and a remnant of the zither, leaving a sentence. Without the phoenix's ashes, there would be no shadow. The secret letter she hid after her death revealed the truth about Nanjing's drug test, revealing that there were still dark web relics among the old ministers of the inner court. Chapter 14 Chen Yu's Lonely Plot. Yu Zhenayu's life experience has always been a mystery. Until one day, a scholar from southern Shaanxi handed over a parchment letter, signed, Yu Guanhai, Chen Yu's father, who was falsely accused of a palace coup 50 years ago and later disappeared. He accompanied her all the way to the Snow Cliff Book Forest, where she found the forbidden notes left by Yu Guanhai and a blue fire lamp that never went out. The book reads, "I exchange the body of celestial phenomena for my daughter's free life, and I hope that she can live safely in the world without the need for magic." Chen Yu put down the last destiny map in her hand, burned it in the snow, and whispered, "I will no longer break the world for the world, I only want to be at peace for myself." She finally resigned from the position of Xianqiling, left the court, and opened the Guangzhen school in Dongshan, teaching only 2 classes, knowing people and knowing the heart. Chapter 15, Li Chen's army is sealed, and your heart can rest. Although Li Chen is the emperor, he always has a dream in his heart. In the dream, he is not the emperor, but watches the evening snow at the border side by side with He. One night, he was slightly drunk and said to her, "If I were not the emperor, would you be willing to marry me?" She responded quietly, "If you are not the emperor, I don't need to ask this." In early spring of that year, He resigned from her position as regent, citing good health, and moved to a mountain retreat. She requested the return of the Phoenix Seal, retaining only the title of Zhaotai. Li Chen personally conferred upon her the title Zhao Huang and decreed that, in the future, according to Tianji law, women may marry freely, hold official positions, establish temples and enforce laws. He said, "I offer the entire world as a betrothal gift. Are you willing to be king?" She chuckled, "I only want to do it for myself." The two did not hold a wedding ceremony. Instead, they simply stood side by side on the willow bank, drinking a pot of aged wine under the flickering fireflies of an autumn night. That night, the stars fell to the earth, and people called it the Night of the Shining Stars. The final chapter is hidden in the dust. 10 years later, He and Li Chen lived in seclusion in the south of the stream, built a small bookhouse called Chengjin Pavilion, recited poetry and books every day, and planted peaches and apricots. On the day of the Embers of the spring every year, the people spontaneously went to the Phoenix Embers Hall to burn incense to commemorate the woman who fished the dynasty out of the sea of intrigue and blood. She has no divine seat or mausoleum, only a tree of old plums, named Jingchen. People say that the plum blossoms bloom before spring every year, and there is no snow when there is flowers, and the flowers do not fall when there is snow. Underscore 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 un. Postscript. This is not a victory of revenge. This is a woman who awakens from wrong love and sacrifice, is reborn from the destruction of her family and her death, and chooses to let go and fulfill from the entanglement of love and hate. She did not seek a title or seize power, but rewrote the structure and memory of an entire dynasty. She exchanged her life for the early morning when women in the world no longer bowed their heads. She never claimed to be a god, but everyone knew her. She is a phoenix, not for the phoenix crown, but just to rise up from the dust.